Well, here at CBS Sports HQ, we're continuing to monitor the Brian Flores situation. The NFL expected to investigate claims made by the former Dolphins coach in regards to tanking. That's per multiple reports. The league will specifically be looking into the allegation that Dolphins owner Stephen Ross was willing to pay Flores $100,000 for every game he lost in 2019. So Ross, he fired back with the following statement, saying, "I take great personal exception to these malicious attacks, and the truth must be known. His allegations are false, malicious, and defamatory." It goes on to say, "I welcome that investigation. I'm eager to defend my personal integrity and the integrity and values of the entire Miami Dolphins organization from these baseless, unfair, and disparaging claims." All right, for more on that, let's welcome in our senior NFL insider, Josina Anderson. Now, we're going to take a deep dive into this. So much in limbo right now. So Flores interviewed with the Saints. He's a finalist for the Texans head coaching job. He said he let both teams know about the lawsuit before he filed it on Tuesday. How does this impact his future in the NFL? What are you hearing?
I think first and foremost is that what I'm hearing this morning with regards to the Houston Texans is that they're still in the process of determining who is going to be the next head coach of that organization. And I think what's interesting, given the big breaking news of former Dolphins head coach Brian Flores filing that lawsuit in Manhattan federal court, a class action lawsuit alleging, racial discrimination in the interview and hiring process, that Flores is still considered a finalist for the Houston Texans job, which I think is very, very important to mention, particularly when you hear all of the conversation around this news, not only talking about his filing of the lawsuit, but the potential consequence of that being him taking himself out of consideration, not only for the jobs that he talked to prior to filing this lawsuit, but just any job in particular. So I think that that's very important. Flores is also a finalist with other candidates that have been interviewed. That includes Jonathan Gannon, who's a defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, and of course, Josh McCown. All of those candidates that I've named have interviewed more than once. And I think it's also very important to mention that Flores is also still considered very highly within the organization, and that within the last 24 to 48 hours, the Texans have gone through a very thorough vetting process of going through the staff plans of each of those candidates, not only to ascertain viability, also availability of said personnel in those plans, and also fit. It's very important that they feel like they have organizational alignment, that the owner, Cal McNair, feels comfortable with that. And my understanding is that they're rallying up on that process and hope to have a decision between now and over the next few days. Obviously, those processes are always very fluid. In addition to that, we heard last night that Rams offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell has been earmarked for the head coaching position in Minnesota, quite to the surprise of, I think, some of the sources that I'm talking to after the interview in person with Jim Harbaugh. But I mention O'Connell's name because he was interviewed for the head coaching position in Houston. My understanding is that he's still thought of very highly within that organization. And so we'll still see how that goes, consider that everything is still unofficial with Minnesota pending the conclusion of the Super Bowl.
Great insight right there. Now, Flores spoke publicly yesterday. He did his rounds on different media platforms. So, Josina, after hearing him speak, what are people saying around the league?
Well, I would say that it's still very shocking. People are taking time just to process. I think even for candidates who are African-American and people of color, it's a trigger point for a lot of people who I've talked to. And I've got a lot of sources across the entire league. And people have said to me they stopped, they took note and listened to him while he was doing his round of interviews. Though I still can't say that I'm sensing this huge, coming to arms on the situation. And I think that doesn't speak to the credibility of some of the concerns of Brian Flores, but rather, like I've heard from two sources well, I'll just go ahead and say our coaches who are saying, one, well, what is the next plan? Because we have to be 2 steps ahead when it comes to things like that. What is plan B? That same coach said to me they would like to see someone like Mike Tomlin, who is the only Black head coach in the National Football League, take a more vocal position on Flores's lawsuit, one, because he holds that position, and then also, 2, because he has the security of that position and the economic security of that position to make those statements. That's what one person said to me. The other person said that they feel like, what is really the ability that any of us have to put pressure on any owner to make a decision when it comes to whoever they want to hire. They were asking that as a point of discussion, and their solution for that, they would like to see additional teams added to the NFL so that would just create further opportunities by just having more teams in the NFL, because they're saying I think what I'm hearing is, what is the solution? Some of these points that Brian Flores, outside of the specific allegations, are historic concerns. That's what led to the formulation of the Fritz Pollard alliance in the first place. We can have a debate about how much it's working or not, but I don't think what's up for debate is the intent of the formulation of the rule. And so now what I'm hearing is, okay, what's the solution? Where are we going from this? What's the comfort level of people really to even speak up, even though this is a class action lawsuit that welcomes others to join?
Oh, great points there. And yeah, solution-based, that's what everyone's hoping to find in this situation. Now, Dolphins owner Stephen Ross, he responded to Flores' allegations yesterday. He said that his former coach and those allegations, they were false and malicious. So how does this lawsuit affect the Dolphins coaching search at this point?
Well, it's very difficult because you have a process where you're trying to identify who's your next head coach after a lot of upheaval subsequent to the departure of Brian Flores, and you've earmarked at least 5 candidates that you feel or that you think of very highly. And then now you have this drop on Tuesday in the middle of people being at the Senior Bowl. That includes general manager Chris Greer, who I'm told left, after the, dropping of this news, to try to determine not only where you are on a head coach, but where you are on the allegations. You guys led with the statement from owner Stephen Ross heading into this hit. And then even someone said to me, a source within the organization this morning, we also just need to know what we're doing following all of this. So I think that there is a lot to circle around with regards to everything that has happened, which I'd have to say is quite ironic, given that it's happening on the heels of Brian Flores, their former head coach, filing the lawsuit.
A lot of loose ends that need to be tied up. Josina Anderson, always appreciate all of your insight here on CBS Sports HQ. Now, for all the latest, tune into the Inside on NFL. Also, the latest episode, they're covering Joe Burrow and the Bengals' improbable victory, Matthew Stafford's resurgence in LA, and Tom Brady's retirement and legacy after 22 seasons. You can find Inside the NFL on Paramount+.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.